Right. Still getting better there with the intro music. But good afternoon, Lauren. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, and welcome everybody at home to another episode of Fantasy Turf War, where 64 teams go head to head to see who's the ultimate champion. We've got another exciting little episode this week as we get ready for the NFL season. Lots of updates, and yeah, we'll just kind of take it from the top. And yeah, it's been a long week, right? We've had, obviously, our first episode was last week. We did our live show there, got through some of our nerves and some of the technical glitches, and still working through some of those. And, we launched our first interview with Desmond Ordonez, and everyone should go check that video out. Although he is a Cowboys fan, try not to hold it against him too bad. But he's a good guy, and it was a great interview. And then we also have. Our next few interviews are also lining up to roll out over the next few days. So you'll get those notifications as long as you subscribe and do all that stuff. And I think you're going to like tomorrow's episode with Casey Woolley. He's a good friend of mine. It was nice to put his interview kind of towards the front so that it was just a nice, good conversation about Disney and Chicago and food and all the other stuff. But yeah, it's good times.
All the exciting things.
Yeah, I think it took us 10 seconds before we started talking about food. So my mentor would be proud. But yeah, and Lauren, we just wrapped the little behind the curtain here. We just wrapped our first interview with you, as you're going to start taking over some of those.
Did.
So
yes, we did.
Yep, good times.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. You're gonna learn some things about Matt Josephs that only the internet knows, and now y'all will know. So.
Yep. So not sure where that one fits into the sequence, but we'll make sure that we get that one out there. But that was your first of hopefully many interviews, and we'll one of these days we're going to have to do your interview as well, and we'll have to get that out on the air. Particularly when it comes to your draft picks and who you go with first. But that's a topic for another day.
I'm thinking it's going to be different this year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to add some strategy.
All right.
But we'll see. You never know.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of take it back from the top from last week and kind of revisit what Fantasy Turf War is for the people who are first time watching, and especially since we've not fully gotten into the actual fantasy season itself. So if you can, kind of explain to us what Fantasy Turf War is and how it is broken down. Because the people say 64 teams, and as we saw with Desmond's interview, there's some sticker shock there, and once you hear it explained, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But 64 teams sounds crazy until you actually see it.
It sounds, the amount of people that have asked me about this league as a whole, and then they're like, well, what's so special about it? I'm like, oh, well, it's 64 teams, and they're like, literally, how does that even work? Then I have to go through your whole backstory and yada yada yada. But basically, yeah. So it's 64 teams, and there's 4 divisions with 16 teams in each division, and it's going to be a frenzy of repeats in each league or each division. Sorry, and the best teams in each division will meet in the playoffs, and you could have, I don't know, your favorite player, I don't know, CeeDee Lamb versus CeeDee Lamb, or...
Yeah, it can. 64 to 16, still not, like, some people even think 16s are unrealistic, and they are chaos. But 16 teams is much more manageable. You're more likely to draft someone who's actually going to play that week than if you were to draft out of a 64-team pool of players. But so four divisions of 16. They essentially function as their own little leagues of their own. It's a good movie. But then the top 2 meet in the playoffs. The top 2 get seeded into the playoffs week 14 to 15. So you want to at least get top 8. That's how you progress. And it's cool. And I think of all the years we've done it, I think we didn't keep the best data the first few years, but I think the most we've had in overlaps in any playoff game was 3. So not too bad. Statistically, of course, it can happen. You can have identical teams in the championship, but it's never happened before. And again, we've had 3 that have been identical, but then there's those tiebreaker rules, and so someone usually end up changing their lineup, or they just go for it, and it's not the 3 that have ever been the determinant in that game. So not been a problem yet, but it is a possibility. We all like our statistics in fantasy football, so it is possible. And now I'm terrified.
I'm gonna be that person actually that I'm gonna be that person actually that trades, so I do have the exact same team against my person.
Well, it was good having you on the show.
Please leave.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There's a whole I don't know. I'm behind the camera, not in front of it, right? So there's a whole bigger reason why we do the league, but the idea is that we want to bring communities together, and it seems like what we have right now is a lot of small businesses or solopreneurs or entrepreneurs that are coming together, and that's what's making up a good chunk of the league, although we do have some major companies that we're getting ready to announce in the last bit here. But the idea that there's 64 companies coming together and working together to hopefully solve a problem, and there's a little bit of fun with some fantasy football in there, but the main idea is to kind of collaborate and see how we can help each other out, and kind of do some good in a world, and especially with the upcoming presidential debates tomorrow, in a world of just chaos, just trying to do something fun with good people doing good things. And I think once everyone else gets to see the interviews, you'll start to see that as well. And I'm privileged because I got to do all the interviews except for this one earlier today, and I've been in the editing room nonstop, so I keep seeing all the interviews. So I know they're good people. I just need to show you guys that they're good people. And it's hard enough, right, when you have a small business or you're trying to start something by yourself and you're trying to go it on your own, and you've got all these questions and things you don't know. And what a better way to get out there and get your name out there and get your company out there, and get that supportive community together than doing it with 63, 64 other people like-minded like you who are in the same spot. So if you guys come together, you guys can all help each other out. And I think that's probably one of the coolest things that's coming out of the league so far this year that I've seen, is almost instantly the teams want to start collaborating together and start working together. Like, how can we start talking? How can we start getting on each other's shows? So it's been pretty cool to see.
I agree. I mean, I'm just at the beginning of that with interviewing only one person so far, but it's very exciting. Learning about everybody, and they're all different, and they're all here for or basically the same reason, but they got here at a different pace. And I mean, they all came here because of LinkedIn.
A lot of them did, and it's a funny point, right? And anybody who's had to do a pitch to another company, and I've done many pitches now. Most of the teams, I don't think there's any disrespect to be had, but I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but like most of the teams so far have been compelled to sign up with 2 PowerPoint slides and a conversation. And that was essentially all the communication we had to give to get the idea across of what we're doing. In year 2 is going to be much easier because you just say, oh, go look at year 1, and you want to do that, then cool, join us. But yeah, selling 64 people on 2 slide decks and a good conversation is it's really interesting to see that's really all it takes, and some effort. You got to try and make people tell you no, of which we haven't had very very many people actually turn down the league, so it's good to feel good about it.
It is a good feeling, but it's also the fact that like this is something that, as we know of, no one else has done.
And certainly. Go ahead.
Sorry, keep going.
No, good.
I was gonna say, in the scale that you've created it, like no one has done it. So.
Yeah, and we've done our homework to the best we think we probably reasonably should. And we said no one's doing it like this, and it's a market we're going to tap into, and we're going to own it, and we're going to be here, and we're going to learn our lessons along the way, and we're going to get better every time. And we're doing the thing, and that's it's a commitment we've made to ourselves, and it's pretty cool. But all right, so since I'm a new guy here, I'm going to give it a try. And we actually have an advertisement to read off from our good friends over at FullTime Fantasy. So here goes our first live read. All right. But we wanted to give them a shout out. They're the people that we have on they're hosting our platform this year. They're awesome guys. We have some news about them coming next week in regards to a magazine publication. We'll have more to share next week, and hopefully, we'll save that for next week. But wanted to give them a shout out to them and what they're doing with the Fantasy Football World Championships. There you go. But here's the ad read, and there's no good segue into this because I'm new at this. So here we go. All right. Dive into a world where fantasy football skills meet unparalleled rewards. Whether you're a rookie or a seasoned pro, Full-Time's Tourneys are tailored to challenge, excite, and reward. With league-specific prizes and grand rewards that match your expertise, there's a throne for every champion. Draft from the comfort of your own home, or draft at Circa Stadium Swim in Las Vegas, the most amazing draft location on the planet. I agree to that, by the way. Beautiful photos. Anyways, don't just say you're good at fantasy football. Prove it. Head on over to fantasyturf4.com/contests and sign up today. Signing up greatly helps out us at the show and helps us keep doing what we do, and your support is greatly appreciated. Here we go.
That's great.
All right, so we got that out of the way. That was the nervous part of the show. So, okay, so let's awkwardly segue into some league updates. So we have, starting next week, 99% confirmed now that we have a second host, and I think my video is cutting in and out, but we do have a second host. We'll announce it once the ink's dry, so to speak, but next week we're going to start getting into hardcore NFL news, and to actually talk some shop in terms of fantasy news. And I think the first topic up is off-season news to kind of catch everyone up on what's going on in the season. So in the meantime, so that people have some stuff to look at this week, and I'm not pretending to remember everything about all the NFL teams. Okay, what I do have is statistics. So I joked about this in the league. Look I'm sitting up because I'm excited. So I joked about this in the league. We have an internal chat that my love language is statistics, and I joked that, like, oh, did someone say Excel sheet? So here's some fun statistics, and we'll kind of walk you through all of them. And this will help emphasize both what we're doing right now in the league and some of the ideas behind rallying people together to help each other out and pulling from different audiences and bringing them together to kind of cross-pollinate and kick back out and see if we can help each other work together. If nothing else, push people to see new content in different ways, and then a lot of it's small business minded. But all right, here we go. So as of today, we have 45 teams that are currently locked in of 64. They're fully registered. They are done, ready to go. We have an additional 5 teams that are in the process of registering. So that means they've looked at everything. They've got those 2 slide decks. They've had the conversation. They said, okay, I'm in, and then I'm just waiting on them to fill out the form. So we have 5. So that's a total of 50. Math. All right. Now we have 24 teams that are in active conversation and considering joining the league. So that means that they've gotten the slides, they've had the conversation, maybe they had some follow-up questions, but they have not fully committed to joining the league. So my math is bad, but I think that puts us at 74 teams, which is actually over the 64-team limit. So last week we started a wait list, and it's basically a first-come, first-serve, right? Because, spoiler alert, not every person you make a pitch to is going to agree. Some people will say yes, some people will say no, some people just never answer again. So you always want to aim higher and have to scale back as you need to. But we have a total of 74 possible teams already lining up to potentially go. But we did deliberately leave a couple of spots open for viewers at home. So we made the pitch last week of, if you have not already signed up and you still want to email us at fantasyturf4@gmail.com and let us know why, and we'll get you sorted out. So we do have a couple of those spots. So we do tentatively have all 64 teams. We just don't have them fully registered yet. So that's good. That means we can keep progressing with the league, right? But of the 45 teams that are done, everyone's done with, they bring 562 years of total fantasy football experience, which is a lot. But the average is 12 and a half. So 12 and a half is the average. So in the interviews, as of today, we ask them how many years they've played, or we bring up their background. So 12 and a half is the average right now. So that's still quite a bit in terms of experience. But there are 5 teams that have never played before. So just flat zeros, which is probably who's going to win it. We are working on how many total championships have been won. That's something that we're still working on. That means something later. But so that's the team status. We have the social media numbers. If you've seen any of our advertisements, you've seen that as well. We have kind of a running total of how many followers, viewers, subscribers, anything like that across all the platforms. One, it's a good selling point for us to talk to the other teams and say, hey, you're bringing a piece of this giant pie to the table, and we're all going to share it together. And then, some people bring bigger than the other, but the idea is that we're all part of a community now, and we're all doing this together. So, that's the piece of it. And then, of course, we would like to hopefully deliver enough value as a content creator that you would want to follow us as well, and so you would help join us on that. And then the second part is, we want to make sure it's a good value for the teams, right? So this is 64 teams. Most of them are businesses, which means that this is time out of their day. This is money. This is all part of their business plan, right? This is a marketing strategy for them, and it's got to be a good value for them, or they're not going to come back next year. And we don't want that. We want people to return. We want people to be invested and to continue to do these things. And so we want to be able to track their growth as the season goes on as well, which means we need to keep track of the numbers. So as of today, with the 45 teams, these are guaranteed numbers, we're looking at a total YouTube subscriber count of 192,000, a total of 22,000 videos, 50 million views, so that's pretty considerable. And again, these are only the teams that are confirmed fully registered, so there's still 14. There you go, math. There's still 14 teams that haven't signed up yet, so they're not part of this math. 20,000 followers on TikTok, 302,000 followers on Twitter, 383,000 followers on Instagram, 316,000 followers on LinkedIn, 6,000 Twitch followers, and 3.2 million on Facebook. So quite a big audience out there for all these companies. And it's something my mentor says to do is on your brand, put your face on your company name, right? Because you're more likely to participate in a business when you know who the person is behind it, and not just some logo or some company name. And so this is part of that as well, in that these people are fully representing the companies that they're representing. So when I talk to Casey, he is the face of his travel agency. He is putting himself out there, because you're more likely to book with a Casey than a company, just because the connection, the person, you've interacted with them, you've had that interaction with them. So this is part of that as well, is putting yourself out there and putting the face to your brand, and that goes a long way. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I got a couple more statistics. Like I said, I love numbers. I'm not good at math, but I love numbers. All right, so of the 45 teams we have 42 of them have been fully announced on social media. We have 3 that we have held back, one of which is yours, Lauren. But I think we're going to go ahead and release that one today, if not tomorrow. I think we were holding on to it for the host announcement, and then one reason or another we didn't release it yet. So we'll go ahead and put that on out there, and then we have two more that still need to be announced. Um, of the 45, we have 18 of them have already done their interview. 19 now. We just did the one right before this. So we have 19 done, and then 27 of the 45 are fully scheduled. And then, of course, we published our first one yesterday with Desmond Ordonez and his Stolen Goods show. And if you've watched the episode, you get the joke. But yeah, so he was our first one, and then we have two more lined up for the next few days, and then hopefully at least one a day until they're all out. So we're moving along. We are definitely in the thick of football season now. And I'm out of breath. So all right. So I wanted to cover a couple of those things, just since we don't have NFL news today, just for the people who are getting used to what Fantasy Turf War is, and kind of getting a feel for the show, and again, more for us too of working through some of this tech issues and getting ourselves more comfortable in front of people. And then next week we're going to hit the ground running with hopefully our second host to be announced once the ink is dry, and we will start covering NFL topics. And then I will chime in every once in a while with my my statistics and numbers and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's starting to get real, and yeah, it's like getting fun after. Well, it's already fun, but it's going to continue being fun after this week, and we'll start hitting the actual NFL news. And then once we have all those 64 teams locked in, then things get interesting and chaotic. So that'll be fun.
Very true. I'm excited.
All right. So one last thing we have to cover before we call it today. Starting on 1 July, that's 5 days from now, next Monday. So before the next show, we are going to launch a contest. The contest is going to be announced through our email chain, and the only way to sign up for our email chain is on fantasyturf4.com. Enter your email address in there, you hit submit, you get a nice check mark, and that's how you find out about the contest. The prizes are still to be determined. Excuse me. Still to be determined, but they are from teams that are in the league. So if you know some teams that have been announced that have some cool merch, maybe some cool artwork, they may or may not be making an appearance in the prizes. And yeah, it should start getting the teams interacting with the community now. So it should be fun. But the only way you're going to find out is if you're signed up through the email chain. Again, fantasyturf4.com. It's right on the front page. Scroll down, and then if you, I think it's on the join page or something like that. It's also on there as well. But yeah, the website's getting updated with more teams every day, and we're starting to launch the blog pieces into it now with some of our content creators on the league. And yeah, we are fully into the season, and we are moving.
Yeah, we are.
And I think it's Wednesday. And I think I have 6 more interviews before the weekend. So it is busy season over here, and I'm trying to edit and get them out for approvals and out the door so that we can post. And then the internet crashes, and I have to delay things by days. Sorry, Casey. And yeah, it's been fun. But look, it's all part of the process, and we'll get better as we go. But we're not pretending to be some giant big corporate something. We're a bunch of people doing cool stuff, and look, that means sometimes we got to learn some things about internet upload speeds, and it is what it is. But I think that's going to do it for this week. No need to belinger the point, but I want to thank everyone at home for joining us this week. We're going to be live next Tuesday night, 8 p.m., hopefully with our second host. Stay tuned, no pressure. Make sure you're following along on social medias. We are getting better at the notification game ahead of time. We are trying to get set in our times, but some growing pains and adjusting schedules and bandwidths, and we're coming together as a team. So we're doing it, and yeah, make sure you sign up on the website because the contest is going to be fun. But if you don't know about it, you can't participate, and won't be any fun for you. And we want to give as many people a chance to win as possible. because I think the first couple prizes we have are pretty cool. Might be a little bit biased, but you can get into that once you guys find out what the prizes are. But yeah, it's a good way to end it for today. So Lauren, where can people find you at? Where can people follow along?
I am social on Instagram. It's just my full name, Lauren.Elizabeth.Hill. Sorry, it's a mouthful, but that is my name. And then X with just L Hill 716, and that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you can find me on all the socials. It's not hard to find me. FantasyTurf4.com, FantasyTurf4 on all the socials. If you need me, I'm there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in the interviews. Hope you enjoy them as much as I did. There's a lot of, like, this next one's got a lot of Disney jokes, so if you have no idea about Disney, I apologize in advance, but look, we geeked out for a little while. We talked about it, so it's good stuff. But Casey's a good friend. And in the meantime, be excellent and be kind to one another, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Bye.